Praise be, bitches, and welcome to InsaneLayne Reviews Hulu's The Handmaid's Tale. I've been waiting my whole life for this. Spoilers! A bit of history. I have a very long history with Handmaid's Tale. I first read the book about 17 years ago, and for about 8 to 10 years probably reread it 2 to 3 times a year. I've written essays on it and the subjects that are at the foremost of the Handmaid's Tale world, and I once ran an academic book club where Handmaid's Tale was the first book that we ever covered. And yes, I've seen the movie, and no, you should not see the movie. It's best forgotten, and even those who made it agree with that. The thoughts and comments in my review of the Handmaid's Tale series are mostly going to be limited to the series, to the world of the TV show. My intent is not to compare the book to the show. I'm sure many people do that. I am going to try and keep my reviews limited to the TV show world without referencing the book as much as possible, though there are a few places where it's going to be impossible not to mention the books, but I will try to limit that as best I can. That said, this is an adaptation, and it's in a completely different medium than the source material, so of course changes are necessary, and changes don't always equal wrong or straying from the source material or discrediting it. It's just that it's a different medium. This is not a paperback book. This is a 3D moving, living TV show. There are requirements for that you don't have in a book, and likewise there are things that you can write anything you want in a book. You can write mythical creatures and magic powers and anything you want, but bringing that to a screen, that's a whole other thing, and it's not always possible. So I was, let's just say, a little nervous when I heard that this was being made into a series, because I had a very good grasp on how difficult that would actually be to do properly. To do a book adaptation properly, for me, what is most important is not about copying as many lines from the book as you can or bringing in as many of those lines into the dialogue as you can. It's about respecting the world that the book created, being faithful to that world and to the rules of it, and understanding the rules of it. The structure, the do's, the don'ts, the basics of the philosophy. And if you've got that, if you really have a good grasp of the world and you're presenting it well, then for me, I'm much more forgiving of things that don't necessarily translate from paper to a smart screen. The Hulu TV series of Handmaid's Tale seems to understand this perfectly. I was very, very excited when I heard that this was finally, like, answer to my prayers, being made a full TV series. But I was also deeply terrified. If you've seen the movie, you understand why. It had all been done so badly before, and Hulu had no reputation as a TV show, as a web series, as producing series. They were a complete unknown factor. And when you really look at the book and you start thinking of just practically what you would need to bring this to an episodic format, start with the locations, the costumes, dear God, the sheer number of actors in speaking roles, huge numbers of background extras often. And then you have the different worlds within the world. You have Fred's world of now. You have that of the Handmaids. You have the past modern day world, where literally everything is different, including all the clothes. Then you have the Rachel and Leah Re-Education Center. You have the refugee world. Then you have the commander's world. Their secret playground of Jezebels, and those are just the major ones. Add like 12 more little incidental locations that, while you may not see them often, important things happen there, so you're going to need them at least once. This was not a small task. And then there's the much more difficult task of how to tackle the subject matter without being insensitive, or shying away from uncomfortable or tricky subjects. And that's without getting into issues of censorship, which with a lot of these subjects is going to be a real issue. This is, however, where, being a web series, you get a little bit lucky. I won't give specifics, but suffice it to say, even HBO would have had trouble getting a few of these scenes on television. I am InsaneLayne, and I will have more Handmaid's Tales reviews very soon. Blessed be, bitches. Oh my god, these fucking wings, I'm going crazy. They're so hot. I can't see anything. Like, these are terrible. How could you even live in these? You can't see anything. Like, it's so bad. I'd go crazy in a second. Why is this still on?